What joke do you tell when someone asks you to tell a joke? A woman walks into a bar and orders a double entendre, so the bartender gives it to her. A man is sitting with his 3 daughters having breakfast and the middle daughter asks, "Daddy, why am I named Rose?" Dad explains, "Well, Rose, in our family, we have a tradition that we put the baby in bed and put a bunch of different flowers above her on the bookshelf. The first one to wilt and fall onto the bed is what we name her. And since the rose petal fell on you first, that's why we named you Rose." The oldest daughter said, "Oh, and that's why I'm named Lily, because the lily petals fell on me first." "That's right," Dad said. And the youngest daughter said, "The fen blam." And Dad yelled, "Quiet, bookshelf." A man is at a funeral of an old friend. He approaches the dead man's wife and asks if he could say a word. The wife says that yes, he could. The man stands up, clears his throat, and says plethora. The wife smiles and says thank you, that means a lot. A thief broke into the police headquarters during the night and took all the toilets. Cops say they have nothing to go on. What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. A man walks into a bar with a tiny man on his shoulder. The little man can't be a foot tall and is wearing a tuxedo. The man bellies up to the bar, sets his small friend onto the bar, and pulls out a tiny keyboard for the tiny dude, who begins playing. He then orders around for the whole bar and pays in exact change. Curious, another guy walks up and asks what's going on with all of this. "Well," starts the guy, "I was stranded on a desert island and I found a genie. I wished for a perfect amount of money to come out of my pocket anytime I needed it. A way to get home obviously, and..." His countenance changed. The minute musician started playing a somber tune. "Well, I think the genie had sand in its ears. Do you really think I asked for a 10-inch pianist?" Why do scuba divers fall backwards out of the boat? Because if they fell forwards they'd still be in the boat. A guy walks into a bar and asks for a pie and a pint, and the bartender hands them over. He downs the pint, puts the pie on his head and walks out. The bartender thinks, "Well, that was weird." The next night the same guy comes in again and asks for a pie and a pint. The bartender gives him a funny look and hands over the pie and the pint. The customer downs the pint, puts the pie on his head and walks out. The bartender thinks, "No, right, what the fuck is going on here? If he comes in again, I'm asking him about the pie." The next night the guy comes back again and asks for a pie and a pint. The bartender replies, "We are out of pies." "Oh, right. Pack of crisps then, mate." The bartender hands him his pint and his pack of crisps. The guy downs the pint, puts the crisps on his head, and goes to walk out. The bartender calls after him, "No, hold on. I need to know. Why did you put the crisps on your head?" The guy says, "You're out of pies," and walks out the pub. A piece of string walks into a bar. The bartender sees him and says, "Hey, don't serve your kind here. Get out." The string walks outside and runs into a woman, whom he asks, "Ma'am, would you mind tying me in a knot and brushing my ends out?" The woman complies, and the string walks back into the bar. Upon seeing the string, the bartender shouts, "Hey, aren't you that same string I kicked out earlier?" The string sits down at the bar and replies, "Nope, I'm afraid not." What do you do if you see a postman? Walk around it, man. What do you do if you see a spaceman? Park your car, man. What do you do if you see a fireman? Put it out, man. I think this one is pretty old, but I used to use it as a silence breaker a lot. A man opens his door and finds a snail on his front porch. He picks it up and throws it across the street. A year later the man opens his door and finds the same snail on his front porch. The snail looks up and says, "What the fuck was *THAT* all about?" Well, I'm sure everybody here already knows about Murphy's Law, but you guys probably don't know about Cole's Law, am I right? What's Cole's Law? Well, it's thinly sliced cabbage. Two cows are standing in a field. One cow says to the other, "Hey, are you worried about mad cow disease?" And he replies, "Why should I be worried about mad cow disease? I'm an airplane." A Roman walks into a bar, holds up 2 fingers, and says 5 beers please. I love to tell dad jokes, but I don't have any kids. I guess that just makes me a faux-pas. A penguin's driving around when he hears his car making weird noises. Pulling up to a mechanic, he's told repairs are gonna take about an hour. Going into a nearby 7-Eleven, the penguin grabs an ice cream cone. Cause penguins love that shit. Going back to the mechanic, after having finished eating, he asks the mechanic what the damage is. The mechanic looks up and says looks like you blew a seal. The penguin looks horrified, wipes its beak, and says no, I just ate some ice cream. I love to tell dad jokes, and sometimes he laughs. Why did the old woman fall into the well? Because she couldn't see that well. A guy and girl are on their 4th date at a fancy restaurant. Things are getting serious. They meet eyes over the menus, giggle and blush. The guy looks at the girl and says I'm not sure how to say this. The girl responds excitedly, just say it. Just say it. Guy, Worcestershire.